Great. Well, thank you all for coming. This is a bit of a departure for us here at World Travel Market. It's the first time we've had sessions this early, so thank you very much for braving the DLR and coming so soon. It's great to be back here. This is now the fourth year that we've been running these social media and startup sessions at World Travel Market, and by we, I'm talking about myself, Mark Frary, and my colleague Steve Keenan, sitting down at the front here. And we are Travel Perspective. We're a social media and digital editorial consultancy working with a number of travel and tourism brands to put together marketing campaigns in those areas. That's not where we started out. We were both traditional print journalists working for the Times, writing about travel, and a few years ago we recognised that there was a need to move on into the digital world. So, and thankfully we've been. It's right that turned out to be the case. So we made the right move, I think. Anyway, I see many faces here today that were with us again. With us last year, and now a year is a very long time in social media, as we know. I mean, 12 months ago, who knew that 20 million people were going to tip a bucket of ice over their heads? And in that 12 months, we've all found out which character from Breaking Bad we are, and Star Wars, and Game of Thrones. It's a great time to be in this. Just a little sort of practical thing. I know that a lot of people like to tweet from these sessions and post things on Facebook, as we will hear from shortly. Just so you know, the Wi-Fi network this year is XL Free Fast. Now, unfortunately, one of those words is a lie, but I won't tell you which one. But you just need to log on to that and accept the terms and conditions. We've got some amazing speakers coming to speak at the WTM Travel Perspective sessions over the next 3 days. There's everyone's favourite time-wasting website, BuzzFeed, Spain's Twitter hotel, Tues' head of e-commerce, and Saber's head of innovations. And we're going to hear about all these exciting developments in the digital space from Ordnance Survey as well. You wouldn't have imagined, a social and digital media conference hearing from Ordnance Survey necessarily. Very, very traditional old company, but embracing social and digital in a big way this year. That's at 11:20 if you're still around. And if you're just starting to build your social media presence, you'll really want to come to our first session this afternoon, where we'll hear from the Spanish Tourist Office content strategist Mark Henschel, spotted by Locals founder Bart van Pol, and Sarah Rathbone from Siren Communications, our long-term sponsor for these sessions, to whom we say an enormous thank you once again. Tomorrow in South Gallery 1314 in the morning, just down the road from here, we're going to be hearing from Brat Guides, TripAdvisor, and crowdsourced guidebook Minube about the future of the travel guidebook. Is it dead? We're going to find out tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, we hear from travel tech startups. This was one of the biggest innovations here last year. We added some sessions focusing on travel startups, and they were hugely popular. And we're looking at, once again this year, looking at how travel tech startups can find funding, how they can get to the next level, and then, importantly for travel people, where to base yourself. Is it London? Is it Helsinki, Moscow, Silicon Valley? Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow. And then on our final day of the WTM Travel Perspective sessions, we'll be on the German National Tourist Board stand on the exhibition floor. We'll be hearing from Hotel Ratings Supremo Matt Eames from FIFO. And we'll also hear from agency on why it's getting harder and harder for brands to get their message across on social networks without paying for it. And then our final session looks at future social, where things are going to go in the next 12 months, 2 years. We'll be looking at things like wearable tech. We'll be looking at things like Google Glass, which we've all heard about a lot. But also about new social networks like Elo and Sue, which you may not have heard about, but there's been some headlines in the newspaper about those in recent weeks, and so we'll be hearing about those. And also, if you're around on Thursday afternoon, you'll have the chance to pick up a Google Cardboard kit. If you haven't heard of Google Cardboard, the next big thing. It's a virtual reality headset made from cardboard, and we've got 20 to give away on Thursday afternoon, so if you're around, do come along. And that's all from me, because I know you want to get to the content. All I would say is that please visit our website after this, travelperspective.co.uk, where we'll have many of the presentations from our sessions this week, as well as some details of an exciting new development that we're launching for April next year in the UK. And then lastly, I'd just like to introduce our very good friend Lee McCabe. After last year's packed out session, we had countless requests for him to appear again, and we're delighted to welcome him again to speak. Please welcome Facebook's head of travel to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everyone. It's always great to come back to WTM, and I'm always very appreciative of being invited to speak. Last year, I think I gave a broad overview of Facebook, what we were working on, how we were working with advertisers in the industry. This year I want to change tack a little bit and go a bit deeper and be more specific in a certain area. So this year I want to talk about two things that are really driving travel and changing travel, and those are mobile and personalization. So I love this slide. I asked our design team to find me a slide of a travel agent in the 50s that demonstrated personalization. And who knew? Travel in the 50s obviously was far more personal than I expected from this slide. But travel was personal, and travel was far more luxurious back then, but there were very few options. Technology has tipped that on its head. Now travel, most of the time, isn't as luxurious. It's become more commoditized, but there are a ton more options in travel. And technology has changed that, and mobile has changed that. So let's look at the customer journey and how it's evolving, and how personalization and mobile are evolving the customer journey. There are three key trends that we're seeing reshaping travel that I'll touch on first, we'll start with. So the first, this seems trite now, but mobile is not a technology. For travel, I think mobile is everything, and that importance is gaining speed week over week. It's not a technology, it's now a consumer behavior. And last year was a big year in digital. So for the first time ever, digital media consumption per consumer overtook TV. Happened in the US first, happened in the UK later in the year. And that's a big deal, because the last time that shift happened in media consumption was in the 50s, when TV overtook radio. And it's driven by mobile. This new consumption is driven by mobile. You can see by this metric, nearly 80% of smartphone users keep their phones with them all but 2 hours of the working day. Indeed, we're developing a symbiotic relationship with these new devices, and mobiles are becoming the remote controls of our lives. And let's look at some more metrics. So of that media consumption that is now digital, which overtook TV, 25% of that media time now takes place on a mobile device. And again, that's a metric that next week will probably be 26%. It's changing that fast. 25% media time on mobile. And here's the disparity for advertisers. I think mobile is moving faster than businesses and advertisers and marketers and the travel industry can keep up with. On one side, we have 25% of time spent on mobile, but only 11% of budgets are currently dedicated to mobile. That's a gap that has to close. I suspect we'll see that close in the near future. 2, we're experiencing a service revolution. So I think travel is synonymous with service. The first industry, when I think about service, was the travel industry. But that's changing fast. And again, it's all due to mobile. So I live in San Francisco, and it's very evident there how mobile is changing service. It already started disrupting travel with companies like Uber and Lyft. So now Uber, rather than order a taxi, you have just a delightful service, which makes that experience easier. And after Uber, we saw the Uberification of everything. It seems like every new funded startup is the Uber of something. So now there's an Uber of bikes, boats, private jets. It's improving service and convenience. But now it's going beyond travel. So as well as these travel companies get funded and improving service, You're seeing the Uberification of everything. So now, I'm at home in San Francisco, I can order food, not just delivery. I can order food from any supermarket in the Valley of San Francisco, and companies like Instacart will go and collect that food. I can choose 10 different supermarkets or shops, have them delivered to my home. Super convenient. Ship. In the past, I would have gone to the post office. Now someone will come to my house, they'll package the goods, and they'll ship them for me. Food delivery, shipping. HomeJoy are the Uber for cleaners. Now I can easily order a cleaner, get them to come to my house on schedule. I can order plumbers, electricians, people that come and paint my house. There literally is a service for everything. And this is going to change the dynamic. So in the future, the people that buy will be the ones that can't afford to rent. Or maybe it should be the people that own will be the ones that can't afford to rent. And we're seeing this happening now. If you look at driving license applications in the States in teens, it's declining fast because they don't need to own a car anymore. Services like Uber and Lyft are very sufficient. And someone did the calculation. So in the States now, if you drive under 9,500 miles per year, it's actually cheaper not to buy a car. It's cheaper to use UberX. So I think we're seeing this, the servitization of the economy, the Uberification. It's going to change things, and it will change things fast. Already very evident in San Francisco and the Bay Area. And 3, apps drive activity. Absolutely, it's all about apps. So if you look at the major app stores, there are now 2.5 million plus apps available. And this is causing challenges for consumers and businesses. So for businesses, you want to get your apps in as many consumer hands as possible. It's hard with this many apps. And for consumers, it's hard to get the cut through. It's becoming harder and harder to find these apps that suit you best, harder to find the apps that you want to use. We're helping to some extent there with the mobile app install unit, which is working exceptionally well. And it will continue to be about apps. I think apps are going to be the way, the future, and absolutely the best way to start this connection and personalization with the consumer. So 2 hours per day, it's actually 2 hours and 46 minutes per day people are spending on various apps. 86% of time on mobiles is spent on apps. So it's absolutely about apps. It's not about mobile web. It's 86%, and that number is growing. And we know the average person only has 26 apps on their mobile device. So this is going to be huge for travel. And because they only have 26 apps, the average person will never have a lot of travel apps on their device. I think they'll end up with an aggregator. They'll probably stick with an OTA or a metasearch. They'll then have one hotel chain that they become loyal to, an airline that they become loyal to. The rest of the apps will be utility. They'll probably have Uber in there somewhere. The rest will be utility. So for travel companies, that means that right now is a land grab. There's just a huge window of opportunity. I think first mover advantage is going to count. If I was a travel company, I'd be racing to, 1, develop the best app I possibly can, and then make sure I get it installed on as much mobile real estate as possible. Mobile will continue to drive travel, continue to drive growth, change, and choices. So thinking about a mobile strategy, I think there are 3 things that we're seeing now that the companies doing well with their mobile app strategies. There are 3 things they're doing well: connection, context, and convenience. Connection, context, and convenience. Let's talk about connection first. So we've all seen the evolution of booking. It's moved away from third parties. It's moved away from agents and call centers. We've seen the evolution across devices, from desktops to laptops, now to smartphones and tablets. Now people are very, very much in control. They can book travel very easily, special mobile apps. A lot of the time now, in 2 or 3 clicks, they can book a hotel very easily. They are fully in control. And that's changing the dynamic, because now everybody is a travel agent, or everybody can be a travel agent. Everyone's a travel agent. Everyone can be a publisher. Everyone can easily publish photos, publish reviews of the experience, and post them. And probably more of a challenge for companies, everybody is now a travel critic. And this has changed for advertisers as well. People are now at the heart, and they want a two-way conversation. They want interaction. It's no longer one way. So on the left, this is how people used to advertise. You would pick a mass medium, you would use a generic message and hit a very broad audience. And then to some extent you cross your fingers. Now consumers are demanding more than that. Now you can be far more strategic. You can find the right people for your business. You can target very specifically. You can target specifically to specific groups and target people on days and across devices that they're using every day. You can target on places like Facebook, where they discover what matters to them. So right now, mobile is a big deal for Facebook, and it's a big, one of our big objectives to drive mobile. Right now we have over 700 million mobile daily active users. So over 700 million people using Facebook on their mobile devices every single day. In the UK, we have 26 million daily active users across all devices, but specifically on mobile, 23 million every day using Facebook on their mobile devices in the UK, which is just huge, and that's a number that is still growing. And now 20% of the time, or 1 in 5 minutes of the day is spent on Facebook, on somebody's mobile device. While we're talking about connection, I think the winners in this game will also need to be the masters of connecting supply and demand. So this is a bit of a convoluted slide, I apologize, but you can see how businesses change on the left. So business had an asset, then they worked how to be efficient with that asset, they then worked out how to leverage data. Now in the sharing economy, they have to work out how to leverage relationships. But I think the two arrows on the right are the ones you should concentrate on, because in terms of supply, there's never been a better time for the consumer. If you think to the first picture when I said there were a few options, if I went to a travel agent years ago, there was probably 100 different vacations or holidays I could have picked. Right now, there's never been a better time or greater supply. There are over 500,000 hotels online that I can make a booking with right now. So just more supply than we've ever had access to. And for travel companies, access to demand is greater than they've ever had before. Facebook is one example, and have 1.35 billion people on the platform. They've never had that access to demand before. So the companies who are going to win, you have this huge supply and access to demand. The companies who are going to win would be the ones who are smart and work out to connect this supply and demand very efficiently and very, very effectively. I think Booking.com are doing a good job of that and a good example of that at the moment. And they'll connect people, and they'll connect people across devices. So who is this a familiar picture for? Who sits at home like this? Oh, come on, there's more than that. I do. So this is the new normal. This is one of my friend's husbands. He's sat at home, he's watching TV. He is on his laptop. He's on his phone rather. He's probably got an iPad somewhere. I would bet he's got an iPad, maybe to the left of him. But this is the new normal. This is how people are accessing media and data more and more. It's not on one device, it's across multiple. You have to. This is something we're making a big investment in. So we bought a company called Atlas about a year and a half ago. We spent a year working on it, and we re-released Atlas at Adweek in New York some weeks ago. And Atlas is a platform that will allow you to measure people, measure the specific person who's viewed your ad across devices with a very high accuracy. It's not dependent on cookies. I think you'll hear a lot about Atlas in 2015. So context is next. You've made the connection, and you've worked hard to make that connection with the consumer. Now you've got to provide them context. And context is personalization. And this is the promise of big data. For me, big data is just about personalization and enabling companies to understand the consumer better than they ever have before. To understand the consumer, provide a personalized service, a contextual service and set of answers. It's also enabling companies to target people and target the consumer better than they've ever been able to in the past. Now you can find the people that matter to you, the people that matter to your business, and target them very precisely. And I think this will change things as well. As personalization improves and companies understand big data, websites and apps will start to look different. And I think the companies, it will drive simplification. And the companies that do this well may look something like this. I think the search engines of the future and the OTAs of the future will show you one hotel. That's it. I think it's heading in that direction. Now when you go to an OTA, some OTAs you see hundreds, and you look at the algorithm and you scroll through them. Some OTAs you see 25. Top 10 show you 10. But I think if this potential of big data is realized and companies start to really understand their consumers, then the company that wins this game will show me one hotel, because they'll know so much about me. They'll have context, they'll know my history, they'll know my preferences, they know what I like. They should be able to predict with a high degree of confidence what my hotel should be and where I should stay next. And we'll see this happen more over time. So as companies become more and more proficient with data, the options they're exposed to the consumer will decrease. They become less and less, and so ultimately it should be one. But this is a long-term thing, and this is a big challenge for Facebook as well. And I think the companies that do this well will, one, learn how to index all this data, and then the trick is really separating the signal from the noise and working out what the best signals are for whatever the objective may be, and then exposing that data in a very simplified way. This is a big effort for us right now. So as data proficiency increases, consumer options should decrease. And we will understand the landscape more and more. So this is true now. If you think back even 10 years ago, when you visit a new city, you were practically a stranger. When I think back, I may visit New York 10 years ago for the first time, I felt like a stranger. It was overwhelming. I probably had a Time Out guide or a Lonely Planet guide, and I really made the best I could with that. Now you can feel like a local. You can go to a new city and feel like a local very easily. Using Google Maps, using Facebook Nearby, I can instantly get context. I can see where my friends have visited, where they've ate, where they've drank, where they've stayed, and suddenly feel like a local in the new city. Also using things like TripAdvisor and Yelp. So I think we're in this state now where we absolutely understand the landscape more and more and very well, and technology and mobile has enabled that. But before long, as well as us understand the landscape will understand us more and more. So as companies learn how to harness this big data, they'll know us more and more and be able to deliver a far more personalized experience. There are restaurants in New York now who actually research you. You book, they will research you. They practically know everything about you before you get to the restaurant. And it makes for a far better experience. I think that's the tip of the iceberg. We'll see this happening a lot more. So we talked about connection, context, convenience. So this is often the one where I think most companies are falling down right now. And convenience is about keeping it simple. So you've done the hard work, you've connected. You've managed to harness and make sense of all your data. You've separated the signal from the noise. Now Just let me buy something, let me transact, but let me do it easily. Don't make this painful. Don't give me an app and make me work hard. And unfortunately, most companies are still making us work hard with apps. So here's an example. Don't make me sign in to the app all the time. Don't make me remember or have to remember usernames and passwords. It's unnecessary. Don't show me 100 different options. Use the personalization. Just show me the 3 that you think are most on the money, the 3 that I'm most likely to buy. The middle one, don't try and import the website experience to an app. It doesn't work. You have to greatly simplify it. Then the checkout. Don't make me work hard. Don't make the checkout 10 steps. And the last one, don't keep asking me for data. Now you'd be surprised how many companies, and some of the big ones, are just getting this wrong now. They're investing in apps, but it's still a painful experience. I think best practice is Uber, I would say, for experience. Uber is now, it's delightful. It uses context, it pinpoints me, it knows exactly where I am. I can order a taxi or a car within 2 clicks. Don't have to pay, leave the car, the transaction's over. It simplifies everything. I think Hotel Tonight are also doing a great job in terms of convenience. So Sam Shank, the CEO, his mission, what he really set out to do in creating that company, he wanted to create an app where someone could transact and book a hotel within 3 clicks and a swipe. And that's it. And if you use it, he's pretty much there. It's delightfully simple. Within 3 clicks and a swipe, you can transact and buy a hotel. And there are still, even the major OTAs, I think, are somewhere behind that in terms of convenience and making this experience easy. You'll also start to see an unbundling of apps. So let me talk about the Facebook story and our journey. So about 4 years ago, we were all about desktop, and that was it. And then we had a major pivot. So Mark saw absolutely this was wrong. And from 4 years ago, we had this pivot. And from that time, we became a mobile-first company. So now Facebook is mobile-first. Everything, all our strategies, everything we develop, all the new products are mobile-first. You'll also see that in our M&A strategies. So companies we've acquired lately, like WhatsApp and Instagram, absolutely mobile-first. So we moved from a multi-purpose website it was multifunctional, multi-purpose, and then we launched the Facebook app. And the Facebook app was way better than it was 4 years ago, but it was still multifunction, multi-purpose. And we listened to the people, listened to the community, and they wanted more ease, they wanted more convenience. They don't want to go to an app and have 7 clicks to navigate to the exact thing they want to get to. They want it to be easier. So now you're seeing unbundling. And rather than have one Facebook app, more and more you'll see is release more single-purpose apps that don't try and accomplish several different things. They do one thing, and they do it very well. So Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Paper, WhatsApp, Rooms we launched in the US last week, and I think you'll see us launch a lot more single-purpose mobile apps. So that's our journey. And if you look at travel, it also plays out in the travel industry as well. So as a gauge, I use the Apple Store rating as a gauge for how happy customers were and with the experience. And I think this also tells the unbundling story. So if you look at OTAs now, they're scoring okay. And suppliers, they're scoring okay. But they're still trying to do several different things. So they're still trying to sell you the transaction across several different products. They're trying to get you to sign up to their loyalty. They're trying to cross-sell you and upsell you. And that's a challenge doing an app. Where if you look at the apps on the right, these are single purpose. So at the top, bookingandhotels.com, they want to sell you a hotel. That's it. They don't want to sell you everything else in travel. They are disciplined about that conversion. They want to sell you a hotel. They want to expose the best hotel as quickly as possible and allow you to check out. And they score very highly. And then we see a lot of new travel entrants who concentrate on one thing, and they do that thing well in these single-purpose apps. So Uber, Hotel Tonight, Skyscanner, all scoring highly. And it's about decreasing the friction. So it's about decreasing those clicks and getting to a state like Hotel Tonight where I can come to the app and I can transact in 3 clicks and a swipe. Or set loftier goals, maybe less, maybe 2 clicks or 1 click. I can transact. Make the experience as delightful and as easy for me as possible. And there are things you can leverage now. So logins, Facebook login. I don't have to remember passwords or usernames. 1 click, I'm logged in. You can recognize me. You can pull information, and you have instant context to personalize that experience. Leverage payments and payment providers. Don't continuously ask me for my credit card details. Within 1 click, you could partner with someone or develop a better system and make that easier. And then whatever else is out there, deep linking, whatever you can to make this experience easy, you or these companies should investigate. So connection, context, and convenience, I think the three pillars of a great mobile app strategy. And the future of travel will rely on personalizing every step of the customer journey. And I think people have always wanted that personalization and hankered the personalization from the first slide. And I think we've lost our way in that a little bit. But that wanting the personalization will always be there. And in that respect, the future looks a lot like the past. Thank you.
Thank you.